round eight of the last match of round three of the LCCC going on. We have RMB versus Earl Meister, and ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a game. This is going to be a match that means a lot. And why is that? Because I am joined by someone very special. We got JDZ. JDZ, why is this match going to be such an impactful, crazy, awesome match for us?
I think it's going to be a crazy, awesome, and impactful match because we have two of the best players doing their thing. Okay, I love seeing that. Sometimes you get players out here and they try to get cute and fancy and start mixing it up, but you got these two players who are playing decks that they're very, very comfortable with. And Myers, I got to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you in the madhouse with all the madness going around. I feel
Oh
a little mad
yeah.
myself. It's first time in the building, in the booth with you, and thank you so much for allowing me to a little slice of your position over here. But I think the match is going to be great. I think the decks are really going to be cool, and I'm excited to see how these things are going to pair up against each other. What do you think? Who do you think is going to be at an advantage in this one?
It's hard to say. When we look at this match, I think Earl does have kind of the lead on this one, just because he has a lot of those big butt characters that R&B Blue Steel has a hard time dealing with early, and top of he's got the genies that Blue Steel just they haven't found a good way, at least in R&B's current list that he has to deal with those big cards. That 2/4 character that just quests for two. He's kind of figured it out on the back end, but in this list in particular, it's just tough, unless he uses to grab your swords or something. Those genies are just going to quest away, and then he can Rapunzel to heal the genies, and it's just a never-ending thing there. But what do you think? Who has the favor here?
I mean, if everything you said is correct, I would give the slightest of margins of favorite to Earl's deck. However, looking at RMB's deck, I think you might be a little bit off. I'm not going to say I disagree with you fully, but I think this deck has the tools required to go the distance. If you look at Earl's deck, one of the biggest negative things I would have to say about it, there's not a lot of ways to get characters off the board, especially characters with that ward keyword. You got Cogsworth, you got Ariel. They're gonna if they hit the board, if you never turn them sideways, you can never get them off the field. You also have those smashes. You also have that Along Came Zeus. You also have the Let It Goes. Talking to R&B, a quote he said, he's like, "Hey, I got to get the Chernobog. I got to watch the Chernobog. You can't get the Chernobog on the field because that's going to be something that you're not going to be able to get off unless you got those Let It Goes, which I'm assuming he's trying to save for those genies. You got that Along Came Zeus. You're trying to put all that stuff on the genie, and if a Chernobog gets loose on you, you're not going to be able to get that thing off the field. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players match it up. There are a lot of different ways that this game can go. It's going to be a nice push and pull thing because who's going to present the problems? Again, talking to this Blue Steel deck, this is a deck that I'm my favorite deck to play in Lorcana. Is a deck that I've been playing since set three. But as I mentioned in the Lamb Chops game, if R&B could resubmit this deck and do something different, he probably would. These players had a very short timeline before submitting these decks
Hmm.
to the fray, and this is what R&B came up with very little limited
Yeah.
information. As we all know, this blue steel strategy is a anti-meta strategy, but if you don't know what it is, you're not going to be able to put that deck together as optimally as you would like. So he's going to still roll with it. He is locked in on it, but I think he has the tools to go the distance if he can stop Earl from questing early, if he can stop playing into Rapunzel, if he manages his usage of Whole New World. I think he could easily find a path to victory with that Ariel and that Lucky Dime, and I'm absolutely here for it. So we'll
Oh
see
yeah.
if USA can close this thing out and come out with a draw in this round number three.
All right. And perfect timing. We have our mulligans going up, so we'll kind of jump into it. Earl's going big with a mulligan of five. And I did miss the die roll, but where we have Earl, calling his mulligan first, I'm going to assume he won the die roll. But it looks like R&B is potentially also mulliganing five. Yep. Getting rid of two Pete's, an Ariel, whole new world, keeping that Flaversham and the Popsicle. So I think it's going to be a good match where I do think Earl might have kind of that edge on my eye. I think that R&B does have all the tools he needs as long as we don't see a high roll with the genies. And of course, a little bias, right? I am rooting for my boy R&B. I'm a huge fan of Blue Steel in general. But I gotta vote for our NA. I gotta vote for our NA. So all right, looking at R&B's hand, I don't think it. Well, he really needed the two drop, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like we got one. We got an Azurite Sea, a Fishbone, two smashes, and it looks like a Fire the Cannons. So Fire Cannons is nice
Okay.
because it lets him deal with, that one drop that Earl's going to play, and that's always a big plus. But we haven't seen what Earl's gotten yet, so we'll kind of wait. But
Oh, sorry. I think I was actually muted. I was having some issues with my
oh.
mic, and I was like, "Man, you can't hear me," and I'm over here just yapping along. But you know, I'm sorry about that, Matt. Sorry about that.
No,
The
you're good.
madness
You're
out
good.
there. It's pretty. I thought I was going insane. I'm over here yakking and yakking. I don't know if you can hear anything I said this whole time, but I had some
No,
great points that
but
I
I
was bringing
got
up.
you
You heard
now.
nothing?
I got you now. So
Nothing. You heard nothing I said this whole time?
I heard all the stuff from before they started the mulligan.
Okay.
So
Okay. I was about to say I'm insane. But anyway, Earl's already looking good. If you can come out, win the dice roll, I think is super critical in this matchup as well. Because if you
mhm.
can get guys down and start questing early, I think that might be detrimental to RMB. He's going to need some time to set up his plays. And what he's trying to do is he's just going to get one into the inkwell, jam that new Diablo. What do you think of this new Diablo card? That 0/1 replace itself guy.
Man, this new Diablo offers so many opportunities. The fact that it's guaranteed to draw you a card is crazy. I will say a lot of decks, especially like something like Blurple, they're cutting the Diablos down because it can't
Hmm.
trade right now. And that kind of hurts us into green purple. But the Diablo just guaranteed draw is such a magnificent, wonderful thing out of a one drop. So we
That's
love
all you. That's all you could
cantrips.
ask for.
Yep.
I think it's really cool. As we're going to get the smash into the inkwell, we'll play a popsicle, get a car. R&B looking for some two drops to get onto the board. It seems like he already got that baby gem kind of spooled up, ready to go. But if you look in Earl's hand, he already has that Madam Mim Fox, which is a clean removal of that. So I think R&B has to be very careful not to turn that gem sideways because it can't take down a Madam Mim Fox, which is a huge detriment to that
Hmm.
card. I think those Madam Mim Fox is going to be critical. It is one of the best purple cards in the game. Those Madam Mims are kind of going to be the story of the game as well. How Earl put those things out, as he's just going to spam two more.
And this is where it gets rough, right? Because now, sure, it's great that R&B has that Jim Hawkins, but now that Earl has 3 1 drops, he's able to get that Fox down no matter what on his turn 3 if he wanted to. So it is a little rough there. But next turn, he does have the opportunity. We maybe fire the cannons to clear some we're looking good. We're definitely
Hmm.
looking good. So
It's it's not over, but you are going to be behind. So you do have the gem, you do have that fishbone quill, and that's going to be almost irresistible to go for a +4 gem, and you're going to take down that Olaf if he elects to quest it.
ooh,
But then that's going to feed you right into that Madam Mim Fox.
mm,
So we do have that Chernobog main, not the follower. The Chernobog main is in the hand, and if that guy can get down with his super high stats, if you can cheat him out quite early, that could be good. So clearing all Earl's monsters or all of Earl's characters could kind of start to backfire again as you go for the bounce. You
mm.
bounced early just to protect. I don't know if I agree with that. What do you think of that play?
It just gets him. It gets him easy tempo to deal with things. So now
Hmm.
this is where it gets really interesting though, because Earl got that Chernobogs, but man, 2 high costs on inkables like that, like he's almost dead in the water right now.
Yeah.
And that's where I wonder if inking that. Oh man, it's rough. I wonder if he went too heavy on the 1 drops early. Losing that ink like that, but maybe could have held one back, get at the Elsa, but we'll see how that goes. But meanwhile, we got the Jim Hawkins taking out a Diablo. He's gonna smash the Fox. That's so
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
So good.
I don't. That's why I didn't fully agree with putting that fox down because that fox could have cleanly taken down this gem,
Mm-hmm.
and you could have bounced one of those birds back to your hand, and then it could have gave you that ink that you needed. But
Oh,
now you're going to get that Madam M fox smashed out and not even get a chance to get any plus value from it. I don't know about that one, but
yeah.
we'll see if Earl's going to be able to recover from that because getting too many negs here,
Oh,
if you don't
another
have a
one
way to
drop.
refuel, it's going to be tough as you're going to get into the Rafiki who again has that zero. You got a lot of guys with zero stats on the willpower or on the toughness area, which doesn't do well for you either.
Mm-hmm.
As this Jim Hawkins is going to be able to start clearing these guys, you start putting them on the field and getting them
Yeah.
sideways.
And one thing I got to give Earl here is this might be one of the only blue steel lists I've seen in a really long time run Smash. So it may be one of those
Yeah.
things that Earl just forgot he had Smash. When you run
Mm,
off meta cards, it has kind of that big advantage that people, you know, like to pretend it doesn't exist. So, but here
yeah.
we see Earl. He draws another 1 drop, which is not great, but inks it. Um, and yeah, that's kind of all he can do. Quest for
And
one.
And even but also in addition to that, RMB did show a smash earlier. I think he inked one turn one. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe seeing that he
Oh.
had double
Mm-hmm.
smash is also quite tough. So you probably play right into it,
Yep.
not realizing that that was an opportunity for him to have another one. So now Earl is kind of in a good position. It's probably going to lean into maybe get. Is it time to start ramping? Because if you can get that Tinkerbell down in enough time, that can start controlling this board and start popping double characters. But you see that Chernobog is spooling up. Maybe it's time to start leaning to that as well as your ink is starting to dry up. Let's see what we do here as we are going to ramp once, or yeah, put one piece of ink into the inkwell, and then we'll send out the
Ooh,
hero.
there's that warded aerial. Oh, that's so good. If he sees a dime, that's looking really juicy now. So,
And he's getting the ink required to do it all. Like we said, man, that
oh,
aerial,
another uninkable.
there is no card in the deck, so he's might have to put. He does not want to put that Elsa into the inkwell, as we're going to get another draw in. There is an inkable card, so we'll probably get that. What is that, Dale?
Dale,
We'll probably get
yes.
him into the inkwell,
He,
and
I mean,
maybe
if he inks the Dale, he can play the Elsa and then shift Elsa next turn, right? And then I mean, is that going to be super important? Not really. At the same time, RMB can't deal with a 2/5 evasive Elsa right now either. So
right.
questing for
Even
one,
just
I
yeah,
guess.
even just leaning on that Elsa and just or that invasive Elsa until you can help have RMB blow some answers on that Elsa,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be less answers you'll have for that genie. So
Yep.
we're gonna take down the Jim. Oh, we didn't take down the Jim Hawkins. We just did enough damage to it. But he's got that four. He's got a
Yep.
four.
Yeah.
That dude's thick. Okay, he's kind of buff. So you sent some attacks in or sent some challenges in, but it just wasn't enough to take him out, even though you got nothing in response. And you get into the whole new world, which is not looking very strong right now.
Yeah. You know, when RMB sees such weak turns from Earl, he knows that there's never a world where he plays wheel. We'll kind of reverse but because he knows that Earl must have either those high cost uninkables or just high cost cards, and where he has such a hand advantage, you never play wheel at this point. So it's looking juicy for RMB at this
It's,
point. So
it's looking like a great spot. Let's see if Earl likes to get this fishbone quill going, or is he just going to, continue to pile on more characters? He can get another gem down if he likes, or he can. So we will. Looks like we're thumbing up that fishbone quill, and we will do so. We'll get the quill down, and we will get gem up to its maximum potential, perhaps by putting another card down to the inkwell. Just continue to ramp heavily. And you could set yourself up for a Tinkerbell as well, because that could be a good means to start board fighting. But again, as every card you put into that discard pile, you're setting up that Chernobog, which is
hmm
going to kind of jump down and start taking over the game with those big stats. That boy huge, man.
just takes
Chernobog
out.
big,
Yep.
man.
Yeah, he is, and he is definitely a big card. Um, with no let it go yet, it's a card that R&B would it'd be an issue for him for sure. So
So
let's
I would
see.
love to see if R&B is actually going to jump into the discard and check and get a count of how many characters are in there, because I think it actually might be live right now if you want to turn the ball here. I don't know if it's time if you're at critical mass. R&B is only sitting at one lore, so it might not be critical mass yet. As Earl is starting to check, looks like he's got four characters in there, and you can ink and probably go turn the ball here if you felt so inclined. But I don't think you're under maximum pressure just yet. I think you can probably buy a couple more turns, get that turn the ball out a little bit cheaper, and then continue to vibrate spectacularly, as we will do so by jamming that three cost Moana onto the play.
Well, here's the funny thing. So our right now R&B actually has enough to answer Chernobog if he played it with two fire the cannons, four attack on. Or I guess Chernobog's he could quest one time with Chernobog's,
Hmm.
and then so it's even Chernobog's is not looking super swell. So I
I
am
think that's
interested
a
to see where R&B goes here. Does he go aerial? I'd imagine he just plays either the Tamatoa or the Tinkerbell, just building tempo, saying answer this or you're going to lose.
it looks like he is going to continue to ramp aggressively. Maybe I want to see if he's going to send this Hiram on a quest and pop for some more cards, or he's going to take it slow. These are the decisions you got to think about, because I
Mm-hmm.
know me, I'm still not as good as R&B. I get so greedy and just blow up my fishbone quill. I'm interested to see if R&B is going to do the same here with this Hiram, or does he? Oh, never mind. He's got
Yep.
enough to get the popsicle back. He can pop that with the
Yep.
Hiram to get a couple more cards. but he's queuing it up. It looks like he might be going for a quest here. Let's see if he's going to pop.
I mean, he's at the point where he doesn't really need more ink from the fishbone, so he could pop it, just get the two. Yeah, so and that looks. Yep. So because
Okay.
he can still another gem, and was that a Tinkerbell? I think.
Yeah, Jim,
Yep.
Jim, another tink.
All
And
right.
now we got three cards in hand for Earl as you get into the Windy, another high willpower character, but still, as this board is huge, now you got a huge threat. This Tamatoa is a pretty big threat, and you don't have a way to get it off the field. That's what I think this mid-range Amber Amethyst deck is lacking. It kind of loses some of the strengths of the Amethyst color because it's very aggressive and it doesn't really need to remove the characters. But this deck does have to play a mid-rangey kind of game with no removal. I think that's going to be kind of tough because if you get these big guys on the field, Tamatoa, Ariel, these huge questing characters, how do you get them off? I think that's going to be the tale of this game and where it ends up as we're going to as we're going to exert the Tamatoa now with this Elsa. Big Elsa's down, but again, you have no way to challenge it to get it off the clear off the play.
Yep. Yeah, and that's where so Earl's bottom a turn, but still, it's just it's looking really rough for him. So, um, oh, did he? Oh, he. Oh, okay. That's actually not a. That's actually pretty smart. He exerted the Jim Hawkins and the Tamatoa. So that's actually really smart because Jim Hawkins would have just cleared his Moana. So,
Yeah.
or even cleared the Elsa because he had Fire the Cannons in hand. So,
But now he does have that 11 lore on the board and he's got some serious question threats. So we're gonna hit the Hiram just to get a couple more cards. And if you can start to find that lucky dime, you can start putting the path to victory together, but you
oh, let
did
it
get to let it
go.
go.
Oh,
There it
beautiful.
is. And will you play it though? Let's see, because the Chernobog is still looking strong. Elsa is also looking strong. Question for three is magnificent. Maybe getting that Elsa off the play right now could be a benefit. You can't sing it, so you have to play full retail value for it. Let's see what RMB likes to do here. Maybe go Pete and then drop a let it go just for stats.
I think he has to go let it go because he doesn't know that Earl has the exactly. Yeah, so he takes out the Elsa because he doesn't know that Earl has Chernobog. So he has to let it go here and then just to slow him down because next turn
He can't play any actions, but the deck only plays, I believe, four
character.
actions. It has four copies of the friends on the other side. So just imagine him drawing friends on the other side right now. That would just be so meme worthy. And he doesn't though. He gets into another Diablo. As we keep thumbing over that GY, you see or over that discard, you see that Chernobog. I think it might be Chernobog time now. As we're going to jam Diablo onto the play. And I think it might. Oh, we're gonna go
Oh,
Hades. Never
yeah.
mind.
He's gonna say, "And you have to answer my stuff, and I'm gonna gain lore because you're answering it." And then Hades quest for 3 as well. So like that's let's see, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. He has 19 on board right now.
Yeah,
Um,
that's crushing. That is crushing. And you can top deck a goat. He could already have a goat in hand, so RMB might
oh,
have
another
to figure out a
wheel.
way to clear this. And now that's kind of ironic because you had to let it go. You let it go with the Elsa, and I think let it go at Hades would even be better. So maybe put the Elsa out as bait and got the Hades going. That Hades card is actually quite good. I forgot about that guy. That might be another path to victory for Earl here as you're standing up with the Hades and you can't really afford to put on any of the other characters. Is it just on your
So
opponent's turn or is it on no matter what?
I think it's the opponent. Well, I'm not sure. I have to look it up. But he can
Yeah, let
answer
me.
the Hades right now. He can go Simba and fire the cannons, and it looks like that's what he's gonna do.
Okay.
So
Oh, but the Hades
that's.
does the Hades work for himself though? Does he get that additional?
I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
I'll bring it up right now. Well,
Okay. I don't think he does because he didn't add anything. It might be other characters. So I think that was a clean out as we're going to go ahead and get the Tamatoa questing, getting back that popsicle,
yeah. So Hades is
and
during
then
an opponent's turn. So
gotcha. And you get a Zeus here. So this seems
ooh,
pretty comfortable for R&B still. I
yep.
mean, he's not out of the woods yet. Earl is low on materials. And he has gone through a lot of his top end cards. As we're just going to play the Zeus here.
On the
We're singing
Moana.
the
Yep.
Zeus.
Yep. Just he can't quest for 2, right? Just because right
Mm-hmm.
now, he now RMB has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven on board currently. So he's at the point where he's just racing now. And there's the genie for Earl, just a little late. But does Earl have enough to play both? That's what I'm curious about.
Let's see. That Turner box should be quite cheap by now, I would say. I can't see the discard. I don't have any information how much is in there,
Mm-hmm.
but it almost might be too late because that board is getting pretty wide and he can't clear it. There's no way he can get stuff off.
Yeah.
He could probably crash that Diablo if he needs another body to get that Turner bog down even cheaper if he needs to. Let's see what we're going to do here as we're going to pay for the genie.
Yep. To get the Chernobog down. So.
Oh, and here it is, the
Yep.
big churn. Everyone stand up and recognize the Chernobog has hit the board. He's out here.
And he's a big boy at that. That is a
The
big
big boy.
boy.
Oh, he
I've
did.
he is. I one of my last set champs recently during the Maribel, my opponent was running a green yellow aggro and with just two Mufasas, and one of the Mufasas pulled him a Chernobog, and I was like, "Hey, are
Ain't
you
that
kidding?"
something?
Like his one Chernobogs, and I was like, "Come on, man! Like, why?"
I hate that. Oh, Mufasa makes me so mad sometimes. I had a guy very similar. He Mufasa into a like it had game or whatever. He Mufasa into a Prince Eric and it just blew me up, dude. It was so bad. I don't know, man. So it's one of those things, man.
Oh
It's one
yeah.
of those things.
So looking at
It's high
this,
roll. You gotta play it.
yeah, oh yeah, you have to. And Earl's in a really good place because Earl right now has 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So if we quest with Diablo here, he goes to 14, but he still needs to draw a goat. And it gets that much harder to draw the goat now that he just put all those characters back in his deck. So,
Yeah.
um, oh,
It's
man,
looking tough,
it
but we still got
is.
some live draws in for we have some live draws in for RMB as well. I think if
Mm-hmm.
he can get to the lucky dime now, I think there might be an outside game shot there as well. He does have the ink to set it and play it. So if he could it I wouldn't say it'd be crazy to
Grab your
freaking sing this whole
swords.
new world, but
Yeah.
if you can run the numbers and see if you can get 10 with the lucky dime, how many what is Tamatoa question for right now?
He's only questing
I
for
can't see.
two. So he has
Oh, never mind. I
the
thought he had more items over there. I'm
no,
sorry. I
just
can't.
the
My
one.
my
So,
vision is a little bad. But so never mind. It won't
oh
happen. It's
man,
out of the question.
because he's at
So
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah.
yeah, this is actually not completely over. Like I think Earl still has quite a
He's
game
in a
left.
great, yeah, he's in a really good place.
Yeah.
Now if he sees a Zeus, a grab your swords, a let it go, like that's what RMB is hoping for. A fire the cannons if he's got one left. I don't remember how many he's running off the top of my head, but
Mm-hmm.
um, he just needs to get rid of that genie or Chernobogs. But better chance he can get rid of the genie because if he gets rid of genie, then I think that's game. So let's
Yeah,
see
so
what
I
he
think
does.
so he's got a couple draws to get there
He
though. He can
does.
play
Mm-hmm.
I think he can play this popsicle. He can quest to Hiram, get another two draws in, and I still think that whole new world is just the absolute
Oh
last
wait.
worst case scenario.
So
Or he can just summon he can bring down Tinkerbell as well and
so
probably just
Simba can
pop.
actually pop the Diablo, deal 2 damage to Genie, and then he plays Grab Your Swords to clear the Genie.
There you
So,
go. Oh,
yep,
I like that. I like that line. I
there we
like that
go.
approach. That's actually quite good.
And it looks like
And we're
that's
gonna
what
go
he's gonna
for it.
do. Yep, yep, and he'll move the 2 damage. So, oh, yep.
And we'll send to the genie, and then there
Oh,
you go. You
yep.
can
Grab your swords, or will he draw first just to see?
uh oh. Oh, you sent it back to your deck. Okay, never mind. They had a little bit of miscommunication. Earl forgot he Chernobog the Hades.
Oh, oh.
There's a
All
little
right,
just a
there's the
little
Grab Your
the
Swords.
slightest of miscommunications, but we got it. We
Oh
got it.
yeah. Oh man.
Oh
So
man.
that means yeah, Earl. I don't know how he does it now.
Yeah,
I
I
mean
think
I
it's too
get
rough.
he's
I think it's
still.
rough.
I mean because R&B's still only questing for 3 this turn. So But I mean, he's still. Oh, but there goes the aerial to yeah. So
And honestly, I think if well, not if he's too far away to start any kind of snake bouncing, goat bouncing
mm-hmm.
situation. I think your best bet is to probably lean back onto this Hades and quest this Chernobog and hope they don't have another answer to this Hades. That'll put you at Chernobog's question for 3. That'll put you at 17. Hades question for 3. That would be GG if you can have that bad boy just live.
Yeah,
But I don't think you get another turn. I
yeah,
think
he
once
doesn't.
you
Yep.
pass your turn back over, it's the goose is cooked.
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna
That
have to clear something with this Chernobog in a favorable manner. I don't think you can clear enough because Ariel's representing 5, and you literally cannot touch it. Like there's no card in your deck that can clear Ariel off the field once it lands. So I think that 5 plus the 2, yeah, it's just looking rough. And Tamatoa. So you're gonna have to clear one of those. Maybe you just slam. Do you have enough to take out? You don't have enough to take down the Tamatoa. He's big, but he ain't that big.
yeah. I mean, the Chernobog can take out Tamatoa, but
Okay, it's 9, right? Is he
he
9?
I believe he's a 9/9. So,
Okay, never mind.
but
My
even
bad.
then, it doesn't matter. Aerial alone takes him to 16. So, I just, I mean, there's the Fox. So he could take out the Tamatoa. Fox to, but still, it's still not enough. Aerial showing 5 is just
Too much to
yeah.
manage. He would have to take out the Tamatoa, he would have to take out the Simba and the one other guy, I think,
Mm-hmm.
right? To even have it be close. And then you got Lucky Dime that could just come on back and if he can draw it, because I know he plays 2 and he has like 4 more draws to get there if you don't take down this
Yep.
Hiram as well. So this is looking pretty roses for RMB. I know he didn't feel very comfortable playing into this matchup. He had some pretty terrible matchups throughout this series so far. Same goes with Earl. I'm pretty sure Earl, Mr. Megatonic, Mr. Megatonic would change the deck as well if he had an opportunity to do something different. But I like to see these players. They're both doing very well. As we're going to hit into the Tamatoa,
Yep.
clear that.
Yep. Then he'll bounce it with the Fox, and then Fox to
It's never
take
going to
out.
bounce.
Yeah, or
Yep.
Snake.
Maybe, yeah, maybe there's a world he could bounce the Chernobog and then put it back down. Is that a
I mean,
possibility? Does he
but
have enough ink to do that?
that doesn't buy him a turn though. I mean,
No, it doesn't. Yeah, he'd have the fox. He would have to play the fox now, and
yeah.
he would have to clear at least,
If
I
he,
don't know,
I mean,
maybe the
5,
gym. I think it's still cooked.
16, 17, 18,
Uh,
19. Yeah, because he can only clear the gym
one
and
other
that.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep. So he'd have to clear the Simba to buy him at least one more turn. So
and Sim is also quite thick too.
yeah,
That's a
five
robust
seven.
and resilient stat
That's
line.
a
5'7".
big boy. 5'7". Yeah,
That
5'7". Yeah.
that boy thick, dude. So R&B, it's supposed to be Earl with the thick health characters. And it looks like R&B's
Yeah.
thick bodies are. He's got
Oh.
Hiram over there who's thick. He's got Jim Hawkins who's thick. He's got Simba who's thick. It's a lot of thickness
Mm-hmm.
on that blue steel deck over there. So it's looking pretty cooked for Earl as they're just going
Yep.
over the last couple cards before we probably
Yeah.
shuffle these things up and get on into
Yep.
a nice and meaty game number 2.
All right. Well, it
Man,
looks
oh man,
like
let's go.
R&B is
GG1.
taking game 1. So while they shuffle, I'll go ahead and pull up the list
GG1.
if you want to talk about, well, you're the blue steel guy. Why don't you talk to us about R&B's list? What is he liking? What's he not liking? What would you have
All
done
right, so
differently?
just like again, just looking at this list and just some of the things I've heard the players say. I know they're very active in all the discords, and I encourage you all, if you're not in those discords, make sure you get into the 20 Pro Lore Discord. Make sure you get into the Pixelborn Discord. Get into all these discords because there's a lot of available information. There's a lot of very talented players who talk openly about some of these strategies. And if you're interested in becoming a better competitive player, it's no better place than to get it directly from the horse's mouth. And a lot of those players are very active in those discords. So he's someone that I follow in those things, and he's actually quite low on this blue steel strategy right now, just because it seems like it's very slow into this metagame. This set 6 metagame is probably one of the faster metagames we've had. They got that evasive genie, and this deck just doesn't handle those high willpowered evasive threats. It's tough. Usually when they print those evasive cards, they would give them like just little paltry stats, like a little 2-1 and a little 1-2.
Oh
That's
yeah.
gone, man. These guys are
Mm-hmm.
coming out with 7-5. These guys are coming out with 2-4s and all that, and it's just too much. So he went with his long game Zeus. He went with the Smash. He went with the Let It Go. Smash, I think, is not the best. Smash is not the answer. The Magic Broom stuff might not be the answer. The Shift Gem stuff might not be the answer. The whole new world definitely might not be the answer because you're just going to be refilling those players' hands, man. So it's not in a good position right now. It's going to require a little bit bit more research and development from the brains of the Blue Steel community. But I think the deck is solid. It's still my favorite deck. It's still a deck that I fully plan on playing. Maybe you could take some of the top end stuff off, focus on some of that early game stuff, and maybe change the identity of what this deck is. But I still think it's solid. I don't know if he would run this deck back again if he had to do this exact tournament over. What do you think about Blue Steel? What do you think about this tournament as a whole?
Well, let's talk tournament. I think that Pavel is the hero that Pixel or just lore kind needed. We
Absolutely.
bringing us. I never got to play OG Pixelborn, but I do play a lot of Pixelborn Connect. He's putting on this tournament, which is just absolutely phenomenal. We've had thousands of people watching. I mean, it's been great for the community, and I can't praise Pavel enough for what he is doing. And so as far as Blue Steel goes, I'm a huge fan of Steel, right? Steel song through and through, but
Hmm.
I've played quite a bit of Blue Steel just to kind of mess around with other Steel decks, and I love what it does. I just love being able to answer people's stuff before they get to quest with it. What can I say? But it looks like we do have hands going up, so I'm going to take these lists off. And let's see what we got. For everybody just joining, we are going into game 2. Earl Meister he won the dice roll. He was on the play on turn game 1, on the play for game 2. And it looks like Earl's stuck with a super heavy mulligan. I think he's considering mulliganing 6, just keeping that genie.
Yeah, keeping that genie, probably trying to get that genie down on curve as soon as possible. And if that genie can go, I've played quite a bit in this set, and sometimes that genie can just go for 12.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes genie can
yep.
just go for 14, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just an absolute nightmare if you just can't get the cards to get him off the field, or they put 2 genies down, and now you're sitting there just dealing with that. It's just so hard to deal with, man.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's such a really good card, but it's not like bannably good. It's still a very balanced and fair card, but it's just so oppressive sometimes just sitting there looking at him. I'm glad he's got a cool artwork and he just looks, what I'm saying? Whenever I see that Jenny, I always think of the Aladdin. I think of Robin Williams. I just get a little warm and fuzzy. At least I got that going for me. It's not that's one positive, but it's so oppressive, man. Sitting there just watch that guy just quest freely on you, and there's nothing you can do.
Oh yeah, and it looks like Earl did go 6. But yeah, Genie. I think it's the biggest reason that Blurple has such a strong showing right now, because a turn 3 Genie is pretty tough to deal with for most decks if they get their ramp off. I do have to say, the chat's caught up to when we were talking about Mufasa and Chernobog, and Humble is a little feeling a little attacked after we hit him, with his
Oh,
whole Ruby Fossa lifestyle. It's also
I'm
not
sorry.
going too great.
That I personally, and it's mad. I'm in the madhouse. I'm with madness. I'm feeling mad right now. I personally think that deck is severely underplayed. I think that deck is super underrepresented. I have a quester, I have a Lumineer that goes to my locals, and he plays Ruby Fossa. And let me tell you, I've never beaten him, not even once, never on Blue Steel. I've never beaten him, not even one time. I get cooked so vigorously hard when I play against that deck. I don't understand
Hmm.
why. Maybe it has bad matchups to the Steel stuff and the discard stuff, but when that deck is cooking, it's definitely cooking.
Oh yeah, no, it's one of my favorite decks. But of all the decks that I've played, it's probably my lowest win percentage. Like I just play it awful, and I don't know if I try and control too much, whatever it
Mm.
is. But I do love me some Ruby Fossa. I got to admit.
Man, you just gotta have Mufasa go to the discard and just mill. I don't know, Hydra or something. I don't know. Just mill some.
Yeah.
Just mill. I'm saying I've had a guy mill or flip over evasive Tinker Tailor Mickey, and it clapped me up. Like I couldn't
Yep.
I couldn't touch it. He's a huge evasive guy, and he's got big questing for 4. I'm like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Oh yeah.
Take out Mufasa. He brings this thing out. And I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
well, I guess I'm getting clapped up here.
God, and oh man, the chat's caught up to another moment in the match where we were talking about how does he deal with the genie. And one thing that I always forget is that the same character can shift onto the same character. And they're talking about
And that's
how,
so
yeah, like I always
that's
forget.
so
Yeah,
beautiful.
it is.
He
So,
he did that in on an earlier round too in a very epic fashion and actually
hmm
paid out huge dividends too. That's really cool when that does happen.
I think
He
did RMB only mulligan one? I kind of missed that. We were having too good of a conversation, but I
I'm
think he
sorry.
only mulligan. No, no, don't apologize. Like I think he only mulliganed one. So He's got lots of draw, got that fire the cannons, the Flaversham, of course, to draw some more. Uh, so
I love how he's got the fire the cannons and the grab your sword. Just like, okay, Genie, you do your worst, and I
oh
got
yeah,
something for you here.
yep,
So maybe he's going to try to rush to 4, rush to 5, get the Cogsworth down and sing it. That'll be really cool.
yep,
And then you can play the fire the cannons, get the Genie off in an efficient manner. But double Genie could be rough for you,
yep.
man.
So Earl's gonna ink the crab and no one drop. Oh no, no one drop really really hurts.
Oh, he
And
probably
then
could add more 1-drops to this deck too. He's not playing the full bounty. I think he can put more 1-drops in, and it would still go with the strategy. It would complement the strategy very well. He's only playing. I think he's only playing what, like 6, or he's not playing. He's not playing that many. Never mind. He's playing 8. He is playing 8 1-drops, but I think he can increase that a little bit. I'm not
yep.
sure. I'm not sure.
Earl
I'm
draws
not sure what
his
he stands.
third crab. It's yeah, the third crab. So Windy Darling is a 2-drop, so at least he has that. Uh, but at this point, it looks like Earl's gonna ink the crab, and I wonder if just inking the friend. No, I don't know. Oh, it's a rough place. He's stuck with that big Elsa again. That high cost uninkable that he just can't do anything with. So, all right,
Yeah,
inks the
yeah.
crab.
I think prior keeping those crabs though. Those crabs are actually quite good in this matchup to
Mm-hmm.
get. If Earl elects to put some of those high costed or high, you saw how he kind of got walled out in
Yeah.
that previous round. You're going to need that strength to get over some of those walls that he can set up too. So I think maybe favoring those crabs might be the way to go. And those crabs can also sing those friends from the other sides. But you are running low on ink, and
Mm-hmm.
there's not a lot you can do about it. So you need to draw some ink off this deck next turn if you want to stay in this game. As RMB is kind of trying to take over all the tempo, as we're going to send the Jim Hawkins onto the
Yep.
board.
And that Jim Hawkins next turn answers the Windy Darling perfectly. So it is he's in a rough place because
And he
yeah,
can't even really afford to quest. Yeah. Oh,
yep, because Jim Hawkins,
dang.
yeah. So if he quested that Windy Darling, RMB has the Sail the Azurite Sea, so he gets to deal 4 damage with Jim Hawkins. Oh boy, it's and
And
draws the one drop.
this is actually both of these players haven't won a round yet. And I
Mm-hmm.
know it's not playing for anything but just pride and national or regional pride. But getting a win going into round number 4, I think, is quite important. This is going to be the last round before the French, or it's not French, or in Paris. It's in Paris. I call it the French, but the EU nationals is going down this weekend. So it's going to be the last round into that. So you don't want to go into the nationals. You want to put a win on the win column for the team before we pick this thing back up and finish. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very important. I mean, nobody wants to go into the last round with that 0-3 goose egg leaning on your head,
Yep.
as we're going to send the crab in now.
Yep. And then we see he inks one of the friends, plays the crab, quests with Windy Darling, hoping that R&B doesn't have ramp here. And unfortunately, he does. So, things are
But
looking. Go ahead.
But can you afford it? Can you afford to get that ramp going? Can do you have the ink to put down? As we're going to see if you can draw another inkable card here, because you want to keep.
Oh,
Okay,
there
and
we go. Yep.
that is a perfect card to put on into the inkwell,
And
as you're going to
that's
send that broom down almost
yep.
immediately.
And that's the beautiful thing about Sail. The fact that you get to draw and then ink at any point during your turn that you want to. Such a powerful card because there we go. And he gets to draw off the Fortisphere, and now he gets a full idea of what he wants to ink. And I'd
But now
imagine
RMB does have a decision to make, though. Does he
mm-hmm.
want to put this Cogsworth down into the inkwell, because he can? That's his singer, and he reluctantly tossed it in. You could tell he did not want to do that, and
Mm-hmm.
he's still actually thinking about it. But that was his singer, and if he can get that Cogsworth set up, and those grab your swords can just go insane. So he had to really think about doing that for a little bit of time, because you could tell he wanted to keep it. But that harem is just looking so juicy. That fishbone quill is looking juicy, and he didn't want to risk blowing those cards. But man, oh man, it would have taken a lot for me to put that Cogsworth down to the inkwell there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It hurts too. Oh, another Earl. Oh, I called it an Earl. Another Elsa. Earl is not happy. You see his hands down there.
Oh,
Oh boy.
dude, that is a megatonic uninkable, dude. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness, that is a big old uninkable situation. But you will get to sing though. This
Yep.
is a good opportunity to get some more cards.
Yep.
And
Imagine. I don't know if he runs 3 Elsas, but imagine. You know, we will. It is worth noting. R&B did not take out the Windy Darling there. He's kind of. He knows that. He knows that if he did, excuse me, that he can just the crab can just kind of take out the gym the next turn. So
That
maybe
or a yeah or a or he's got to be super cognizant of that fox.
the
He's probably
fox.
thinking
Yep.
fox, fox, fox all day, and you can bounce fox, get him up to 7, and clear that gem just the freest +1 you can get in the
Mm-hmm.
game. So RMB is not going to fall into that trap, and I think that's the sign of a good player, a lesser player, someone who really doesn't understand the matchup as well. Probably send that gem sideways, lose it for nothing, and then you're going to put yourself into the blender. And you don't want to be in the blender,
Yep.
especially when you don't have anybody to seeing all these grab your swords that you have. So the evasive
Mm-hmm.
genie is loaded up onto the field. R&B does have clean outs to it, but you got to get that ink going. So I think you might have to mark and bypass this Hiram and go for the fishbone quill now in order to set up to that. In order to set up that Tinkerbell, perhaps, and then maybe stall another turn, and then you got your singer online, and you could kind of take over this game. So let's see what R&B does here
Oh
on
yeah.
this turn. This is a very important turn, I think.
It is. I mean, because that Tinkerbell next turn, if he plays Tinkerbell now, then next turn he can kind of just grab your swords and fire the cannon to clear the board. You were talking about something earlier though that I did want to come back to because it's something that
Hmm.
is super imperative. Plays the Flowersham, so he's just going to take draw and see what he gets. But I think when it comes to playing decks like blue steel, red
Hmm.
blue especially, and even red purple, one of the things that these players do really well that separates that skill gap is they know how to use their life total as other characters essentially. They know
Right. Okay.
against this deck I can take this much damage to be able to control the game afterwards. And that's something that's really important because a lot of people might panic and I think red blue players especially do that where they just panic, I'm taking too much damage, I'm going to do plays that aren't great and then they lose in the end because, they rushed when they didn't have to. And
Mm. Yeah, just kidding. I think that is a characteristic that I display when I'm sitting in a position, my opponent is just questing heavily, and they get up to that 10, 12 range. I kind of feel this, my spider sense start tingling. I'm like, okay, and I start playing suboptimally, and
yep.
that usually is going to spell demise. But if you just stay in control, follow your plan, and understand your position a little bit better, I
Mhm.
like R&B is doing here. I think you can patiently wait out the terrible spot that you might be in, and then sometimes you can come out on the other side. But
Mhm.
RMB is still only at how much ink does he have? He has 5 ink, so he can go
Yep.
into this Tinkerbell next turn with no ramp and still be in a good enough spot to kind of turn this game around. Was Earl needs to start getting some characters on the board, getting them sideways quickly because Tinkerbell is another one of those cards that can change flow, just control that board. Earl has no way to get characters off, but he has to be mindful of that Tinkerbell as well, because that card just being there as a menace can start pinging damage onto that genie and get it off the field, and then you will be back to where you don't want to be. So he's got a lot of power on the board now.
He does, and it's getting a little scary though. I've one thing that I am gonna ask R&B later is why he ended up playing the Hiram over the Tinkerbell because the board is getting at a place now where next turn Earl quests for 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's getting to that place. It's getting to that place where things start getting a little bit scary because you have to respect that you're playing purple. They have goats, and goats
Hmm.
do nasty things. So, boy,
Yeah, and I
it's
think I think this turn, I think you got to go Tinkerbell on this turn. He does get into the let it go, which is also quite good. So you're going to have to go Tinkerbell on this turn. You're going to have to trade up this Jim Hawkins into Wendy. Can you get Jim strong enough? I don't think you can. I don't
nope.
think you because you did
Well,
not develop
yeah,
that fishbone quill in time, so you're not able to get that double ramp going, and you don't have that shift gem, which is another card I'm sure you were hoping to run into at some point. So you are going to have to send this Tinkerbell, and you're going to have to hope, like you said, next turn. I think if you can top deck a shift Jim Hawkins next turn, you can get a very explosive play, clear this board, and then you can be right back to where you want to be. So you will take the opportunity to go ahead. Oh, so he did have the fishbone quill in hand, and
yep.
does go ahead and put it out now, or is that in the inkwell? I can't tell. I think it
Um,
might be inked, or is it on the field? Okay, he's hard casting grab your sword. There
oh,
it is.
yep, he did ink it. Oh, well,
Okay.
yeah, he had to ink it because he's playing grab your swords. So, what? I'm so confused now.
Yeah, I'm a little confused at what just happened there. But he hard cast the grab your sword.
So
And
how did
then
he
he inked the fishbone quill and used it as ink to play
to
the fire
play
the
the
cannons.
fire the
That's what it
cannons?
was.
There we go.
That's
Oh
what it
my,
was. Okay.
yeah. Oh my
Where
goodness.
where
Yeah.
there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is.
uh,
Okay. Okay. I'm not lost.
yeah,
I swear I'm not lost.
yeah.
I'm not
We're
blind
we're
either.
fine.
Okay.
We're
We can
fine.
see.
Yeah,
We're good.
yeah.
We're good. We're good. And now, so that was actually a quite good turn. I didn't realize he had that much ink. I thought he was still short for some reason, but no, that was my bad. But he
Mm,
hard cast it there, just to kind of clear that board off. And
yep.
now your Tinkerbell is looking quite succulent as well. Earl is actually getting super low on ink as we're going to ink the Rapunzel. Very interesting. Probably trying not to get eviscerated by a whole new world.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take down the Jim Hawkins for free.
You know, the thing is though, getting rid of that Rapunzel's interesting. I mean, he really because Rapunzel's
Yeah,
not easy for Blue Steel to deal with.
right.
Excuse me.
I think
So
I would have favored that. I would have favored that Rapunzel here, but he wanted to clear the board, get
he
the
did.
Hiram off the
So
play. But now this Tinkerbell can just completely wax you, man. We're going to see you kind of rolled right into it
yep, he
as you're
did.
going to get a popsicle to get a draw, ink and tink, and you're going to be off to the races, man, because you're going to blow up two of
Two of
those
them.
characters, and then you got this super threatening Tinkerbell that's coming
Yep.
back next turn, and you got a singer that's set up too, just in case you
Yep.
don't want to get busy, and you got another Tinkerbell coming, so you're just looking pretty grim Reaper for Earl, man. Or yeah, I'm serious. I think he could have. I think getting that Rapunzel, getting those cards might have been the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, it's just like that. Just like that. You know, it's because Tinkerbell being able to sing, let it go, being able to sing, grab your swords. I mean, Tinkerbell even just now Earl knows that if he quests with anything, that Tinkerbell just deals 2 damage into something else, and then on top of grab your swords, he can pretty much clear anything at this point. So he's got Simba that can come down next turn. Uh, hmm.
Yeah, there's so look at that hand. There's so much removal in that hand. He can take everything out of there. He can, and you can't even quest. Your deck is designed to quest and get aggressive or to fight the board. You can't fight the board versus Tinkerbell with this deck. Your
Yep.
characters are just too weak, and they can't do enough damage in enough amount in enough time. So raining Tinkerbells, raining Simba, raining Grab Your Sword, I think is just looking grim. We're gonna put the goat in the inkwell.
Now Earl is getting at the place though where these Elsas get really dangerous because they're almost guaranteed to sing, or not sing, but quest for 3 um, when they come down. Because I mean, oh, it's those Elsas represent a lot for him, for Earl. But he's only at 8, so
He's got to draw ink.
mm-hmm.
He's got to draw ink. He's doing the witchcraft
Yep,
on the deck right now. As you're gonna go ahead and do the oldest play, the tale as
yep,
old as time.
mm-hmm.
Grab your sword, play Tinkerbell, do 3 across the board. Combinations going back to set 1, all the way in set number 6, still good. It appears as you
Oh,
get into an
another
uninkable
uninkable.
Chernabog. Oh,
Oh
time. Oh
goodness.
God, that is a backbreaker. And I'm at that moment,
uh,
I'm gonna grab my deck and I'm going to throw it out of the window. I promise you, I will flip that tail. I will lose my mind. But you did get your Rapunzel. Okay, so you're back in the fight. It is not completely over for you. As you can go, I think Elsa's 8, right? So you can go
Elsa's
ink
8.
the Rapunzel and then blast the Elsa onto the field.
I mean,
And I
because
think that
Elsa's buying time, right? I mean, he plays
right.
Elsa, exerts both the Tinkerbells. So then RMB has to think, do I let it go, this Elsa? Meanwhile, he has another Elsa on the back burner. So if he doesn't let it go, the Elsa, then that Elsa is pretty much guaranteed to quest for 3, taking him to 11. But even then, even with both Elsas, it's still a little dicey. So
Yeah, but still, it's not over. I mean, you're at 8. Okay, you're at 8. You got Elsa going for 3. You got another Elsa coming back next turn. That's probably going to get you another 3. You got these Tinkerbells can't quest or challenge right now. You got Hiram Pop and get another plus value. So this is looking great for R&B. He's got whole new world. Probably still not in a position where I want to sing that.
mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie. I want to let that thing marinate for a little while. Probably
Oh
lean into this
yeah.
Simba this turn.
He does decide to take out the Elsa. So and
Okay.
but like we were saying, now next turn he can just play another Elsa. But I wonder how many characters he has. If he is he at a
You
place
thi-
where he can play Chernabogs and Elsa?
or maybe place where you can do Chernabog and that genie or not genie. I'm sorry,
The
that Hades.
Hades.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe you can go Chernabog, Hades, and this Diablo, and just get a bunch of guys down. And then next turn, come back in with this Elsa, pin down those Tinkerbells again, and now you got a huge question power on the board. And I don't think RMB used a lot of resources already to clear
Mm-hmm.
a lot of problems that Earl had already presented. So there's probably a chance you don't have enough to do that
Yep.
again. So if you can go big Chernobog,
There
land
we go.
him,
Yep.
land the Hades, land the Diablo, that might be enough to kind of start turning the thing back
Yep.
into your favor. Because if you force RMB to suboptimally seeing this whole new world, that could also be great for you if you're Earl. So you
Mm-hmm.
do have a path to victory. It is not. I mean, yeah, you're looking great. You're not looking bad. Earl's
No,
or RMB is only sitting at 1 on the lore count right now, and you're at 8. So
he's still very
it's
much in
looking
it.
good.
Oh yeah, because that turn. So he does only have enough ink to play the Hades because if he three takes, oh, he can play Hades and Diablo. So he's gonna be left with 3, 6, 7 on board. So the
Hmm.
Simba can come down to clear the Diablo if he really wanted to, but I don't even know. I wonder if he just plays Simba to draw
Just to
to
change up the cards a little
yeah,
bit, just
just
to
to
get some more
change out the
cards.
cards, but I don't. It'll be. I'm very interested. I guess we'll have to see what he draws. Right. That's. I
Yeah,
mean.
this is a
Yep.
great match, man. This is a really, really good match.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of thought process. There's been a lot of technical play, a lot of decisions that need to be made. Those are my favorite kind of games because in
Mm-hmm.
Lorcana, as you know, sometimes the games can just kind of play themselves out, and someone can just get, the short end of the stick, and someone can just run away with it, and
Yep.
it's just over before it's begun. But in this game, I do appreciate the fact that there's a lot of skill expression, and there's been a lot of decisions that have to be made, and these players are going through it pretty effortlessly. And I'm just noticing some of the plays that I would do a
Yep.
lot different, and they're probably not the correct play. So I'm actually learning as I'm in the booth, able to do this commentary as well. As you get into the popsicle, that is an amazing
Draw
draw
two.
for
Yep.
R&B, as you're able to get 3 more cards cycled in with this hero and another
Oh yeah.
popsicle as well.
And this is one thing too is Earl didn't see any one drops early, so a lot of his draws at this point, statistically, he runs a good chance of seeing like a good chance to see one drops that he doesn't want to see, which
Yeah,
is
especially after putting all those cards back in
mm-hmm,
with the Chernobog, who's back on the field for the second time in just as many games. As we're going to pay the troll toll, we're going to go for 7, and the big Simba,
mm-hmm.
Himba, as they call him in the streets, is going to hit the field. And let's see what effect we like to use. And we
Does
we are going
decide
to
to
use that
deal
lesser
two
effect.
to Hades, I think.
No,
Or
he's
no,
he's
he
going to
he
do the
did draw
discard
two.
draw,
Yep, yep. So oh, the let it
and he
go.
and he
Oh
gets to let it
man.
go. Oh man, oh man, oh man, that is brutality.
Jeez. Oh, that is
Say
rough.
it ain't so. But who do you hit though? Are you going to hit this Hades or are you going to hit this Chernobog? I would assume the Chernobog. I would
Questing for
assume the
3
Chernobog.
and clears your board or yep, yeah.
And we
So
do hit the Chernobog. That's correct. As you're going to go ahead and let it go. And then we have the Tinkerbell, who is going to be able to go on a quest for 2, bring RMB up to 4. And let's see if you spam the board with some more characters because you can go as wide as you want. You can literally put them all out there, and there's
mm-hmm.
nothing that Earl can do to stop it.
Yep.
So we're going to get into the Tamatoa as
Automatoa.
well.
Tamatoa feels good. You just get more draw off of that, just feels so good. Earl's in a man, all those big bodies and they're just cleared. They're just cleared like nothing. Um Gives bodyguard to Tinkerbell, so just make sure his Flaversham lives so his Tamatoa can come down, give him another popsicle,
Mm,
and
I think
draw with Flaversham.
I think that's a heads up play. You don't see a lot of players using their Fortispheres as
Mm-hmm.
much. You see a lot of popsicle usage, but you don't really see too much Fortisphere usage. I think that's pretty cool. I think you're just trying to not to get maybe a rabbit or something coming down or crab, and then you can take out this harem. I think that could be a reason, but just putting all challenges on Tinkerbell, heads up maneuver, and now Earl is going to be back in the blender. Let's see if there's a way. What we can do is this else is not even good enough anymore either. It was great. It was looking great last turn,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's looking quite terrible.
He's looking. Is there anything left in his deck that can take my genie out? That's what he's looking for. He's like, yeah, you have to have played everything, right? Like, geez. So yeah, I mean, I think you play the genie and then it's
Yeah, I think you get the genie, get the draw, and
Mm-hmm.
then you get the Diablo down and hope. I don't know, man. I think the broom might be better right here in this matchup. Just in this situation, I think broom will
Yeah.
be a little bit better, so you can just ensure you're getting those draws in, or Churnabogs or something. Well, Churnabog may not get the draw in, but maybe the broom might be a little bit better there, just in this particular instance, because that Diablo just seems a bit too slow, and you want
Yep.
those cards.
And
And
that's
now,
yeah.
if they do quest it, you're going to just slam it with that Simba or the Tinkerbell, and they're splashing that damage onto your genie. Whereas if it's broom, you could just get him up out of there and get your card
Yep.
immediately. You know, I want my structured settlement. I need cash now, not cash
Yeah.
when what I'm saying? I need cash now. I don't need that kind of I don't need that kind of loan.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
gonna be oh man.
Yep, and I think that's why a lot of purple decks have gone, if they do run a lot of cantrips, they're running like the 4 and 4 2 and running like the
Hmm.
4 Churnabogs, 4 Brooms, 2 Diablos. Diablos are super great because it guarantees the draw, but they can be slow and they can't trade, and
Yeah.
so
And that one, if they just gave them a 1-1 in the stat, I'll take a 1-1.
yeah.
That zero is just so annoyingly bad, dude,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't do anything. Give me nothing. You get no free rebates, huh? Dang. Nothing. You get no return, no return on the investment, no ROI on the Diablo at all. I think the card's still good, but I think Broom. I'm becoming a Broom believer. I think
Yeah.
Broom. My tier is Broom, Chernabog, and then now this Diablo. If I had to call those one drop can't rip guys, that's my tier list. If I had to call it, I think Broom is just OP. It's got that two. Two is crazy. It's got
Mm-hmm.
the one. Come on, man. You can't beat 1-2. All right, so we get into another Hiram,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't even think you need. I think it's
Yeah.
time. I think it's time to get. I'm
Play
I'm
the
I'm
shiny
hearing some
crab.
shiny is coming down. The crab is out, dude. He's coming and he's about to get loose. As you're getting a one cost back, you're gonna get three more cards again, and Earl has to
Mm-hmm.
be tilting into the Spider Verse right now. As you're gonna see this one drop popsicle come down, get played, and a quest go off with Hiram
Oh,
Flaversham.
so
How much lore is Earl threatening though? Because is there
he's
5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Am I counting that right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 7. So Hades is
Seven. Oh,
3,
17.
Genie is 2, and then the other two are 1. So, but it's getting.
I mean,
But here's the thing:
it's
if Earl quests, his whole board is cleared. Like the moment he quests.
yes.
Now Hades though does represent it. Well, oh, it's
Maybe
ooh,
he can do all right. So here it is. Maybe he can bring this Elsa down, pin a couple cards in, maybe the Tinkerbell, maybe the Simba, and then go on a light quest, like a small journey, like a
yep,
light, to the grocery store
yeah,
or
like
to
his
the
with his
just a genie.
evasives. Yep.
Yeah, with the evasive, just go on a small little journey, and then the next one you go on an amazing quest, and that
Mm-hmm.
should be enough. My math is terrible, but if you send Jenny and Peter on a small little baby quest, just around the corner, up the block to the gas station and back, and then you go on a huge road trip that next turn, will you have enough life to live, or is it going to be GG's at that point?
This is where it gets interesting because if Earl plays the Elsa and exerts probably Tinkerbell and Tamatoa, no, he would probably do
You
it.
have to hit that
He
Tamatoa. You have
have
to
to
because he's got
hits
he's got
yeah.
Lucky Dime in the discard, and if he gets that dime
Yep.
down, you can go ahead and just
It
start.
has to be Tamatoa and I think Simba. I mean, they both do the same thing, right? Tinkerbell and
Hmm.
Simba. So either one. And then if he only quests with his evasives, that leaves him with lethal next turn. Um,
Hmm.
because so I think that leaves RMB possibly having to wheel to try and find some kind of answer. Um, and if he
Oh, I like this play. I like this play from Earl. I really do. I
mm-hmm.
didn't see this. So he bounces the Diablo in order to remove Tinkerbell threat. Let's see who he freezes here. You gotta freeze the Tomato, I think.
Yeah, it has to be Tamato, and then it doesn't matter if he does Simba or Tinkerbell.
Okay.
I guess ultimately Simba's the better option because they both do the same thing, but Simba also has the additional to he can choose to draw 2 cards. So
Hmm.
just take that out. So here at this point, um, RMB's got to be wondering, what do I draw? He has the
And
Fortisphere, so he
he's
can draw with Hiram, but he's at a place where he might just have to wheel But he also
And
can't
he's
grab your
used a
swords.
ton.
Yep.
He's used a ton of materials already. We have to check the discard, but he's already used several copies of Grab Your Swords. He's used several Let It Goes. He's used several Fire to Cannons. He has got to be out of game. He's got double Tinkerbell on the field. He's got the Himbas on the field. Like who else? What other removal could possibly be left in his deck? What could he be whole new worlding into except for a bunch of brooms and Jim Hawkins and all kind of nonsense that you really don't even want to see anyway? Oh, by the way, you're going to refill your opponent's hand and they will definitely be able to secure game if you give them 7 fresh new cards. As you know, that the only card in hand is that 1-drop Diablo. So this is looking pretty bad for RMB. It kind of got those Elsas. Actually, we talked about how bad
Yep.
they were early game when he was bricking on those things very megatonically, but now he's got them things in on the field and they're looking quite great. So let's see what we like to do here. Maybe we got shift. Is that even enough? What are we shifting? We shift Jim. I don't know.
He
Is that
because
is
he
that the
only
play?
yeah. I mean, what? Oh, it's because he has to draw his one Zeus because he has to answer Hades before he answers anything else. Well, yeah.
Whose turn is it? I think it's still Earl's turn, perhaps. Or it might be R&B's turn. He hasn't rated his guys yet, so I'm not sure exactly whose turn it is. Did R&B make his play yet? It looks like
No, so
okay. Because I think the first thing you got to do, you might have to go with the Fortisphere Hiram situation, get that going, get 2 more cards, and then make a decision at that point. But this is actually looking quite rough for the blue steel player.
yeah.
Not gonna lie.
He asks. Oh, he has to answer because he can only quest for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this turn, taking him to 16. A lucky dime only takes him to 17. Or sorry, so he can quest for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lucky dime then takes him to 18, and that's still not enough.
Yeah.
That's
And he quested Hades.
interesting. What?
Why? I wouldn't. What is that? I don't do that. You don't. I don't think you leave it up because I think you had game there if you didn't quest the Hades, right? Am I mistaken? But I think you still have game anyway if
I
he can't
think he
clear this board.
does,
But now
right?
you've presented an option for him to hit into because Hades is not evasive, and I don't think his effect will work for himself, as we discovered
Yeah.
in that last round. So that 3 lore, I think, did you need it? Did you need to have it as Elsa? I
I
don't know.
think it
Maybe you're
just
afraid.
I think it just guarantees, right? And I think that is
Hmm.
the right move questing for 3 because
Okay.
now if RMB hits the Hades, he deals 2 damage to Genie. It RMB still has to find an answer for the Elsa questing for 3, the Peter Pan questing for 1, the Snake questing for 1. Um I don't know. It's risky though because it's yeah, it's
But
risky.
he does brick on this second wheel whole new world, which is as a blue steel enjoyer, this is why I do not like this card in this set.
Mhm.
Look how miserable that card is. Look how absolutely terrible that card is. How much better would that card be if it was literally something else that can get rid of these genies?
Yeah.
I would love, as much as these players don't, I would love for those whole new worlds to be a freaking Imperial Bow right now. I know people are hating this Imperial Bow card, but if those whole new worlds were Imperial Bows right now, you tell me how much better of a spot he would be in. He would be in a winning commanding position if he can get them Imperial Bows on the board instead of those whole new worlds, which aren't doing anything. They're so miserable right now. As we're
Mhm.
going to go for a popsicle situation, just trying to draw, it's going to be another crap.
And he does but that's
It,
not what he wants to see. So
it it might be a little bit, a little too late. You do have that fishbone quill, or excuse me, the lucky dime is already in your discard. So maybe there's a world you can get it down and hopefully you can survive another turn. But GG's is on board, so you have to crack this board in some form or fashion. And I just don't think you can do enough with that Elsa sitting in the drying rack with 3 on the play. And we're going to send 1 ping damage over
to
to
Elsa.
the
Yeah.
Elsa.
Because so here now he can send Tinkerbell into Hades and deal 2 damage. Or okay, so he is singing the whole new world. Yep, because he has to look. He's
Oh,
looking for smash. He's looking for another grab your swords, fire the cannons, um, and
I just don't like it because now Earl is definitely gonna be able to build a massive board next turn. But he could get he could get smashed. He can get fire to
yep.
cannons. He can get. Let's see what we get here.
Because if
As we
RMB
got
lives, he wins next turn. I mean, like let's. most likely. Because if Earl doesn't kill his crab next turn, then his crab
Mm-hmm.
brings back Lucky Dime, and that's gonna be rough. Oh, there's the
Oh, it's a
Zeus.
Zeus. Look at that.
He's got
Look at that
and the fire
Zeus.
the cannons and the
Let's
smash.
go.
Oh
Oh, never
my
mind. Forget everything I
goodness.
said about Whole New
Yep.
World.
Yeah.
Car's broken, okay?
Yeah.
Forget everything I said.
Yep.
Forget
Oh
everything I
man.
said about Whole New World. The car is broken. You keep playing it. Keep playing it. Oh my goodness. That was beautiful. I forgot about the Zeusinator.
Yep.
He's got the Zeus,
Yep. The
and
one
that is going to
Zeus.
be a backbreaker. Such a
Oh,
along came
came
Zeus,
Zeus. Oh
hurling
man.
his thunderbolt. That's right. Come
All
on
right.
now.
Let's see. So he can fire the cannons to clear the genie, and then he can sing the Zeus with Tinkerbell to clear the Elsa,
Okay, okay.
and then
He's
he could
cooking, and then oh yeah, I would be tilting if I'm Earl, I'm tilting. Okay, I'm tilting all the way into the Shadow Realm, dude. I'm in the
because
Spider
oh my
Verse with the
goodness.
amount of tilt.
Because
I'm out of my chair.
if he just plays Ariel, or I guess he doesn't have enough for air. Well, if he sings Zeus to clear Elsa, he could play Ariel and just have lethal on board next turn. Or he
Yeah,
could play Smash to clear the snake. Um because right oh no, he doesn't even have to
and,
play
and
Ariel. Yeah, he
and then
just
looking at Earl's hand, Earl didn't even get a good board back either. He didn't get like he
mhm.
can't flood either. He can
Still
probably
no
play
goats.
one maybe two characters next turn and still probably not even have enough to win if you can clear this thing. So we're going to send the aerial on the field, and this is
Oh,
just
okay.
absolutely looking great for Earl now. Forget
Yep.
everything I said about Whole New World. I thought it was bad, but it looked really great. If you can draw like that and you can turn this game around like that, as those cards are still going to be pinned down, you can't ready them. But this is looking quite good for RMB now, as you can comfortably pass. And this board is so
Mm,
wide and
yep.
so beef supreme. And there's no somebody slip Earl or be prepared right now. I think that's probably the only way.
See,
Um,
this is the thing though, is I would have played the Smash because and to clear because right now you just whole new world and Earl hadn't seen any goats yet or inked any
hmm
goats. So if Earl had drawn into two goats, he had enough
Oh,
with two goats and he would have needed two goats and a snake. So is it likely? Probably not, but still a Smash would have guaranteed that Earl wouldn't have the answer. Um,
oh man, yeah. This is looking pretty cooked here. If Earl just doesn't have the means to
yeah,
clear this
he
board,
doesn't.
he got
So,
way too wide. That Whole New World ended up being the MVP of this whole matchup. So
yep.
I have to eat my words. Maybe I need to put Will back into my deck. As he would have to. Yeah, you're not clearing seven. Not, again, you're getting walled up. Look at these guys. They
Mhm.
all have these beefy willpowers. You got a seven, you got an eight, you got a six, you got a five, you got a five. Like, what are you doing? Like, how are you
Yep.
clearing these guys off the
Oh
field?
yeah.
How are you
Yep.
clearing these guys off the field? What is the plan? I want to ask Earl. I'm actually gonna write that down. What's the plan to clear these big willpower characters off the field with this deck? I gotta know how. Maybe you got Crab, but that's just not good enough,
Yeah.
man. Because that's one. That's a one for one. Typically, and you're gonna lose that guy more often than not because they also have these massive toughness as well.
Yep.
So, what do you
And
do?
I mean that's purple, right? That's what makes purple so good in every meta, but so
hmm
incredibly like the skill gap potential for purple players is massive because really good purple players like George and or Georgie and Ed, like they know how to bounce perfectly. Like when am I bouncing
Right.
rabbits? When am I bouncing crab? What like and using that bounce package to your advantage is how they sustain and continue to do so well. But Earl never saw he never saw an opportunity where he could be using all those bounces to his best
Yeah.
ability.
And I think that's another point. But when you match the purple with the red, you have those powerful
Yep.
the removal actions. You have the be prepared, you have the be king, you have the brawls, you have all these cards that can get these high willpower characters off the field. Where if you mix the purple with the amber, you just don't have it. At least even
Mm-hmm.
in the purple with green, you can play the muses, you can play some song, you can discard them from their hand before they go on the field. You can bounce them back with Cloud Kicker because sometimes they might have lower toughness.
Yep.
But in this, there's no way. Like you just can't get them off. The only way you can get them off is through challenging with Fox and Crab and things of that sort.
Yep.
And most times they're gonna be in a much better advantageous position when you do that. So I would like to know, as we're still just kind of running the numbers, trying to see if you have a double bounce, maybe you can bring out the Elsa bounce and then crab. I don't know, because you got 10 ink to work with. So we're going through all the lines of play before. Maybe you can bounce the snake, bring the snake back, crab, snake, do a whole little snake mambo. Maybe
Yeah, I mean,
Madam.
so the Peter Pan can clear the Tinkerbell, right? And then he can play Crab on the Snake, and Snake clears another Tinkerbell, and then he can Fox the Crab to clear Simba, but then he's still left with dealing with Tamatoa. That's going to bring back Lucky Dime. He's still left with the big Jim Hawkins,
Yeah,
and of course the scary warded questing for 5 Ariel. So
right. Literally, all you have to, even if he just cleared everything except for Tamatoa and Ariel, you still can't win because Quest, Tamatoa, get back Lucky Dime, play Lucky Dime, Quest, Ariel, the game is just over right there. Like there's no, you can't, so you have to clear at least Tamatoa at a very, very
yep.
minimum. And you have to clear Tamatoa at a minimum, but then you still have the other side of that as Ariel's questing for 5. Yeah, it's just not looking
Yeah.
good. It's not looking good. So that's 9, 10, 11. Yeah, this is bad.
Yep.
You have to clear
And
everything.
yep.
You have to clear everything except Ariel, which you literally cannot touch. That's rough.
And
It's cold out here in these streets, man.
this is why Wheel is my favorite card ever, but the most aggravating card and hated card ever of mine, because
It's
sometimes it's just so great and you're just a god, and then other times you're the biggest idiot in the world. Like,
Yeah, that could have backfired. That could have backfired. It looked quite good. I
yep.
I feel bad the way, because I was like, it's bad. I hate it. But because I've been on the bad side of it way
Mm-hmm.
too often.
Yep.
But RMB's got the skill. I mean, when you're
Yep.
good, you draw good.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's a difference. That's a difference, man. You got That's a skill, getting the cards into your hand
Mm-hmm.
and having it go well. So
Looks like he does do Peter Pan into the Tinkerbell, and looks like he's gonna go Crab. He's just making those last minute thoughts of what do I take out.
and even if you can manage to get through, you have to be able to build a board, because you have to get that last 5,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see where that last 5 is coming from, because every play you make from henceforth has to be cracking boards over and over and over again, and I
Every
just don't
play
think
you
this deck is
make.
designed to do that. I
Yep.
think this deck is designed to kind of set up and quest out and not engage, do not directly engage with the adversary.
Yep.
But it seems like you're finding yourself in the most suboptimal position that you want to be, is board fighting with Tinkerbells. You can't
Yep.
win like that.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's. I mean, we see oh, looks like
Uh-oh.
he
So
asked
we
to change his mind, and
had a
RMB
little had
said,
a
"Go
little
ahead." Yep.
had a little misclick there. I think
Yep.
R&B is feeling totally confident knowing that he's got another Tamatoa in hand. So even if you can manage to somehow, some way miraculously break through this board, you got another one coming back your way, because
Yep.
Tamatoa is coming back again, and I'm pretty sure he's grabbing that lucky time. You also have the vision of the future. You can grab some more stuff from your deck and just keep the party train rolling. So
Mm-hmm.
this is looking okay. So we're gonna send Snake into Gym, kind of like how you thought, clearing that. So that's 2 more off. Okay. Give and take out Simba,
Yep.
and
And then that's the best you can do,
that's it. If that's the
unfortunately.
best you can
So,
do, that's nowhere near going to be
yep.
good enough, because you got 5, 6, 7, 8. That's game on board still.
Yep. Now I will say, I think maybe Earl originally he played that Elsa. He did that was enough damage to clear the Tamatoa, but he
Yeah.
realized like it's not enough, right? He like so yeah, and there he throws it in. So
And that's going to be a GG. So
yep.
RMB is going to
Oh,
break the cycle first and be the first player to not go 0-3, I suppose, as no one wants to be that 0-3. That's a terrible
mm-hmm.
spot to be in going into that final round. But RMB got the dub and got it done. Whole new world, proving to be still one of the very best cards. I will eat my words. I hate the card. I'm so indifferent. I'm so indifferent. I would say I'm
Yep.
indifferent, because it usually goes very poorly. Maybe because I'm just a bad player. I don't know. That could be a possibility.
Earl
All right.
finally found a goat. Like he's looking for those goats, but they're all at the bottom. I will say, one super exciting thing for R&B winning here is EU. They've already locked in their 2 EU players for the top 4
Mm,
bracket. but NA have not locked in their top two players yet. So RMB is technically in it. NA right now does not have any 3-0. So if Zan or these Sailor, they lost their next match and RMB won, we're gonna have a bubble on our hand, and we know how much everyone loves a good bubble. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very exciting, and I love the way that they kind of changed the format to keep it regionally aligned. I thought that was really cool. This thing has been so hyped from the very beginning. EU came out and dominated that round number one. It was pretty close round number two. They started round number three with some domination again, but NA kind of came back strong and was able to tie this thing up going into a round number four, the all important round number four. So it's still up in the air. It's still opportunities for the NA to come on in, but I thought that was a very good, well played match. I think both of the players came out and they demonstrated some of their abilities, and it was R&B that just happened to come out on top by playing very tight, playing very sound, and having a game plan and sticking to it and having it work out. So we're going to see if we can get those players to come by the booth real quick to kind of talk about their decks, talk about their approach to the game, and also their plans for the weekend and going into the the last chance qualifier, and then to into the national tournament.
Yes, I just have to figure out. There we go. And I need to. Oh, we have an operator error. I need to unmute. Okay. Just waiting on them to join the Discord call, and then we will get those interviews going. I know it's pretty late for Earl at this point. I don't know how many hours he's ahead on, but I think it's midnight going into 01 maybe for him. Maybe midnight. I'm not. Nah, I don't know. I have no idea what time it is in Scotland right now. So.
But while we're waiting on them, are you going to get a chance to participate in any of the LCQs? Were you fortunate enough to not get cooked by Eventbrite and get a ticket to get in there? Are you going to head to LA, or are you going over to Paris? Are you participating in any of those events?
Unfortunately not. I was working and just completely dropped the ball and forgot that the NA went live. So I will not be at them. But I'm deploying soon, so trying to spend as much time with the wife as I can. So I probably wouldn't have gone. But didn't even get the opportunity. So we'll say that's the reason. I just didn't win the whole thing. I just got unlucky.
I'll make sure I make a note. I will make sure I make a note on that as the players are joining the booth right now. Yes. Gentlemen, GGs and WP, thank you so much for your gamesmanship. It was a pleasure to watch and be a part of that thing. Congratulations on your victory, RMB and Earl Meister. I am so sorry you couldn't come up with the dub, but I got a question that's just sorry madness. We're in the madhouse, and it's just on my mind, and I got to know, Earl, how do you get those heavy health characters off the board? What's the plan with this Amber Amethyst mid-range deck? I got to hear from you. What is the plan to get these high willpower characters into the discard, aside from Crab?
You don't take them out. The thing is, you have to apply pressure as much as you can in the beginning. But I just really can't find any good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to apply that pressure. You guys saw my
the Elsas.
So many Elsas. I have to ink them. Second game, I had no turn one play. I draw so many cards. So many crabs.
Oh yeah.
And I had to sing and dig because I knew that based on what I'm looking at on my hand, I'm like, I've seen this before. I want to quest as much as I can, but if I didn't do the Freunde im Schattenreich, that's German for friends on the other side.
Bro, every time he cast a Friends, he said that, and I couldn't help it.
Honestly, me and RMB had a great time playing with each other. Win or lose, that is one of the most fun interaction I've ever had in Disney Lorcana. But the plan was to apply as much pressure as I can in the beginning. Unfortunately, I couldn't find that pressure. And I was digging so hard for that pressure. I don't know if you guys see my hand interaction. I'm like, what the freak is this?
When you drew that second Elsa.
There were some times where you went super ink dry, and I was like, please, if there were me, I'm throwing my deck out the window. It's gone. I'm buying new cards, the whole thing. You failed me enough times, I'm done. The deck's gone. I'm trashing it. But man, you showed some resolve, you stayed positive, and you still tried to paint a way to get to victory. But I think the matchup just the way RMB played it, I think he had so many big bodies on the board, you weren't able to exchange anything favorably. The pressure that you were trying to get, you just weren't able to get to it. So
Yeah.
but fortunately for you, going into round 4, you won't have any more blue steel. You have faced blue steel
Yeah,
twice, so no more blue
that
steel
is
for
the
you.
toughest matchup for me, honestly. And like what you were asking with the high willpower characters, you don't deal with them. You need to apply pressure as much
Hmm.
as you can on this matchup. But like what I said, I couldn't find the pressure that I'm looking for. I have to sing throwing the M Schadenreich twice to get more cards because I know I'm heading for a brick. The only thing that I probably would have changed with all my plays, despite like let's just cross out, let's say the bad luck that I got like on the beginning. The only thing is that when I played the Chernabogs and the what's his name Hades,
Hmm.
that's probably the play that I would change. I'd played the Diablo and Elsa first, and then let
Okay,
the Elsa get
let it go.
let it go, and then play my Chernabogs afterwards, so I can apply more pressure with the Chernabogs. But yeah, it is what it is. RMB played amazing, and
He
again,
did.
I had so much fun with you, bro. That was freaking nuts.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But R&B, man, I know we were talking about before this game. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, but I know we were talking about this before the game, and you were kind of not really feeling the blue steel right now. I thought the matchup was great for you. I thought you played it expertly as well. And I was also knocking the whole new world pretty hard because I'm just not a fan of that card right now. But you played it and it absolutely sealed the deal for you as you got the cards you needed. Talk about the blue steel strategy really quick. Talk about your deck, some changes you would make, and how you felt about whole new world in particular in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, so like I knew going into this matchup that Jim on 2 was going to be one of the most important cards, and like I was lucky enough to have it in both of the games. Jim put in an egregious amount of work. Uh, I Whole New World is kind of like a double-edged sword, and the reason it's a double-edged sword, like even in the position that I was in, like I had to Whole New World, and it could have done one of two things, either one of three things. Either A, I don't find the last couple of removal pieces that I have left in the deck. Like I needed to hit Along Came Zeus. I had
Hmm.
to. I had like I shifted the Gym and stack the damage on the Elsa because the only card I had left in my deck that could answer the Elsa was the
Hmm.
Along Came Zeus.
Yep.
And like I got lucky and I hit it. There's a chance that like I didn't hit it there and he just wins the game anyways.
Yep.
Um, there's also a chance that even after being able to clear all the threats off of his board, like I could have still just wheeled him into a goat and a fox, and that would have been game over too, because that's 3 lore. He just plays goat, plays the fox, bounces the goat, replays goat. That's the 3 lore. He's got 2 in play. He was at 15. Like that's game over as well. So like that whole new world, like whole new world puts you in positions to not lose the game that turn, but it can also create conditions where you're giving your opponent the win when they may not have it.
Yeah,
So like you have to get lucky. It's a high roll.
it
That's
is.
kind of what it boils down to. Like I think I used every single piece of removal that I had in the deck in that game. The only thing that I would say just from your play, that what lost you that game was questing with the Hades on that last turn, because
Yeah.
you gave me an opportunity to be able to attack in and then stack an additional 2 damage. I didn't have enough removal tools in my deck to out your board if you just kept the Hades upright, and I'm just cooked. Like I just lose the game right there.
Yeah, it took me like a few minutes before I made that decision. I guess that is wrong. It's one of those things as well where we don't know if it's right or wrong, right? I'm stuck in that position. But yeah, if I didn't quest that anyways, it's gonna be the first thing that you would remove before you remove the other things afterwards, and I still
Yeah, it
won't
has to
have
be.
enough because I would still be at 12 instead of 15,
Mhm.
and I won't be in the range. So I just kind of prayed there. I was like, well, based on his play last turn, he didn't remove anything. Now I can quest to 15, and even if he removes a bunch, I'm pretty sure I would still have like 2 characters on the board,
all at the bottom.
and I
You know,
would
I will
have
say,
at least a chance
one
of
super exciting thing,
drawing a
for
goat bounce goat. But yeah, it's just
I mean,
yeah.
in that position, like I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Like I have to wheel to be able to get the answers right then and there. And then like there's also the chance that like I miss the answers or like you just have the win in another way. Like that's the downside because Amethyst is arguably, in my opinion, the best color in the game right now. Y'all can hate me for saying that.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. I'm full sport. Full sport.
Yeah, yeah. I think that Amethyst is just. I think it's the best color in the game right now, especially because of the fact that it has like the goat bounce package. Like you get to these stages in the game where whole new world becomes more of a detriment than a help in a lot of instances. And like I said, that wheel could have gone very differently. Like I could have not drawn the answers and still just lost on the spot. I could have drawn all of the answers and he could have just drawn a goat and it was game over on the spot anyways. But I think moving forward, I definitely want to put a little bit more stock in testing out some of the no wheel versions. Just because I think that the format has sped up a lot, that refilling your opponent's hand often becomes more of a detriment than a help.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
That's my opinion on Whole New World.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
it's you know, so Steel Song through and through here, and sometimes playing Whole New World it can be pretty rough, especially in all these purple decks that run so many cantrips, because you play a Whole New World and then next thing you know they've dropped a goat +3 cantrips, and you're like, well, that was unnecessary. But I did want to ask you something, RMB, because we were talking about it earlier on. You had an opportunity to clear the Windy Darling on your turn 2 or turn 3. You had a lot of opportunities. Instead, you just kept letting them quest. And so I talked about how good blue steel, good red blue, you know, these more late game decks, they know how to use their lore, their life total as an extra defense, essentially. Into Earl, what was kind of that, okay, I need to make some big moves, like because I've reached 10 lore, or he's reached 10 lore, he's reached 12 lore. Like what was that number that you were like, I need to make a move now?
So like it wasn't necessarily that I was waiting for a specific lore total. So like you have to look at the context of the board state. He had a Wendy Darlin in play. I can eat him getting 4 lore off questing it. Like if I had just chosen to double ink, take out the Wendy, then the crab just gets to retrade for free. And I wanted a higher equity on my gym. Like when you think about ink displacement, if my 2 cost removes your 3 cost or your 4 cost, I've now netted that additional ink advantage. If my 2 cost, banishes your 2 cost and then your 3 cost just banishes it back for it's an equitable trade. Yeah. So a lot of what I think Disney Lorcana for me, I treat the game very similarly to chess. You have to create conditions to trade up. You need your cards, especially in Sapphire Steel, you need your cards to pull so much work. And very similarly, like it was a concept that I had in Magic, and I think most Magic players had this concept as well. You use your life as a resource, your life total is a resource. Same thing with your opponent's lore. Their lore total is a resource. I think the stage where I start getting scared is when Earl Meister gets to 12 ink, because he's obviously like at a stage in the game where he's got ink that's big enough to start dropping bombs like Hades or Elsa and providing a bunch of tempo, and then you get that much closer to that goat bounce range. The goat bounce range is like if he hits 16 lore, like I'm cooked.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you just chalk this one up as a loss. 1 turn of goat bounce into like, okay, well he just has the goat in his hand next turn, he just replays it and wins the game. Like you're just donezo. So like I intentionally held the gym back there because I wanted the gym to take a better trade in a later turn, and I like that gym ended up I think trading 2 characters instead of just the one and trading for a 2 ink card.
Yep. No, I mean that makes sense.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're
And you do have
good.
to be very, you do have to be careful putting that gem sideways because he get ran down with Madam and Fox. Just to your point, just losing for free like that probably isn't the best way to go. But I do have one more question I want to ask each of you gentlemen.
Mhm.
As we did mention that you guys have very limited time to put these deck lists in with set six being out. Now that we're a couple weeks into this new set six release, are there any changes you would make? I know RMB, you're thinking about maybe moving off the deck for this set, but if you had to continue to play Blue Steel, now I also want to ask from you, Earl. What change would you guys make, or would you add more of those one drops in? I see you're only playing 8. I know they have an abundance more one drops you could potentially play. They have that white rose, which I think would fit pretty well in your strategy. We'll start with you first, R&B, and then we'll go over to Earl. I would just like to hear what, without giving up too much information with the LCC or with the last chance qualifiers coming up and the nationals coming up. Not without, but what change would you like to add to that deck, or what would you do? We'll start with you, R&B, and then we shift it over to Earl.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to explore the no wheel options. Even with this current list, there's definitely some things that I like, and there's some things that I don't like. I would want to work in some number of Calhouns, and I would also want to increase the 2-drop count. There's also a chance that I would include some number of Captain Hooks. One thing that I'm recognizing about this metagame, just based off of playing in the LCCC, is that a lot of decks are trying to play to the board very early on. So cards like Captain Hook, Mr. Smee, Jim Hawkins, Calhoun, like these are all great board control character tools that you can leverage to slow down your opponent and give Sapphire Steel enough time to build the ink advantage, build the item advantage, and start slamming your windmill bombs like your aerials and your Tamatoas. I still have a little over a month left of testing, so I don't know that like for certain if I would be off of wheel or on wheel. Like I still have to do a bunch of testing just
Okay.
to figure out what's going to be the best composition of the deck list going into continental championships.
Okay. What about you, Earl? What would you change? Would you go a little bit lower to the ground? Maybe put daisies back in, maybe put more turnabout followers or something just to get a little bit more aggressive and then build up to that late game, or would you kind of keep it how it is?
The first move that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out all the Ember cards and put Emerald instead. That would be the first thing. Honestly, I was talking to RMB about this. I was in Austria. I was guesting in a tournament. When this happened, I was with Buona Sera. Buono Sera. We were rooming in the hotel, and he's like, that this is the last day that we can submit this, right? And I'm like, well, crap, like we're in the tournament the whole day, so we had like about an hour and a half to build our decks, and I haven't tested anything for set 6 during that time because as a creator, I'm a creator first before I'm a competitive player. And
Right.
that's changing next year. There's going to be a shift, but spoiler alert. But I didn't get to test any set 6. I was going into a set 5 tournament, and I brought in this deck. I got into top cut with it for set 5. So I'm like, we don't have enough time. If I put in a green purple list right now, I might not be able to get the most out of it. So why don't I just try to improve this deck and add the genies in and just go with it because I was here to have fun anyways.
Got it. Okay.
We
But
succeeded in that today.
yeah, we had a great time. Honestly, me and RMB, we were laughing a lot while we were playing. It was a great time. But if we're just talking about this list, I would probably definitely add some. What do you call this? I would add some Daisy Ducks, maybe one or two, and possibly up my Dales or Moana going into this and go for 4 what do you call this? Go for 4 genie. I'm not in 3 genies, by the way. I mean 4 genies, by the way. You guys are showing it wrong in stream. I'm in 3 genies, 3 rabbits. That's what I submitted to them.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I would add more genies because genies just ultra megatonic. He's super super strong. I would also take out Hades and just add back my my baby girl Perdita. Perdita is really good in a lot of matchups, and once you bait out some removals or some AOEs, she can go down, and she can apply so much pressure on the board. Other than that, everything else is pretty cash money in my opinion. Probably would take out the Rafikis as well, because the Rafikis was there because there was some list last set that I know that had some Robin Hoods, and Rafiki is just really good into Robin Hood if you can time it right.
Okay.
And yeah, that's probably the change that I would make. But if I'm being honest with you, I would take out all the Amber cards and add the
And go
Emerald
grand.
instead. Yeah,
I support that movement. I support that movement. But
yeah.
man, oh man, it was a real treat to sit here and watch you guys play. I love watching very competitive, very talented players do their thing at the highest possible level. It inspires me to become a better player, and I learned a lot just by observing. So thank you guys for participating and giving your time up to the community to do this. And a lot of people really appreciate it. So that's just from me, you know. Thank you for
Thank you
that.
guys for casting, and the
Yeah.
judges as well. Again,
Shout out to the
Pavel,
judges.
you're a freaking legend. You know I love you,
Absolutely.
but